we're back for episode 8 of the Natty Muscle Radio podcast YouTube channel with myself, DFAC 2-time world champion, and
multiple time not DFAC Pro Aeronn Bevan. That's great, isn't it? I could say I'm like a 10-time undisputed not DFAC Pro, not WNBF Pro, not IFBB Pro, PCA Pro.
None of the pros. Pro beard wearer though, because you're just wearing the beard. It's like an outfit, isn't it? Yeah.
It's quite.
Yeah, it needs a little bit of trimmage underneath though to give you a little bit more. What's it called? Shapeage. You know, like really groom it. Get it all done like in the barbers, the Turkish barbers with the towels and all the nice stuff on top.
I'm totally like raw dogging it at the moment. I'm going full back hair, flicky mullet style.
It's very long. Wish mine was that long.
It's pretty long. I do generally need a bit of a groom, because I'd like the sides a bit shorter because I'm having to slick it back to my head for it not to come this way.
Yeah. Conditioner is the optimal way. Leave it in conditioner.
Yes. I actually have a hair mask or hair food. It's currently on the banana and macadamia nut, actually.
Oh, is it? Macadamia nut oil. What a great, fantastic addition that's been to my diet the last 2 weeks.
Cheers, Dave Palumbo.
Cheers, Dave Palumbo. Cheers, Amazon, because you can't really get it anywhere else. So if anyone wants to know where I bought it from, yes. Does taste great. Tastes great on corn thins, just to let you know, which is basically a posh version of rice cakes because it's made from corn, not rice.
Yes, thanks for describing what a rice thin is, a corn thin is for everyone.
Well, some people won't know. What the fuck's a corn thin?
Okay.
So, just wanted to say as well, shout out to Dan North for this ginger Pepsi Max. He didn't send me it. It's just that he's ginger and he's the best ginger friend. So he can have that award.
Oh, he's definitely. I mean, he's one of my best friends, but he's definitely trying to think. He's definitely my best ginger friend.
Yep.
My mother is ginger, but related, so it doesn't count.
Friends of the family we choose.
Yeah, so there you go. But yeah, shout out to Dan North for the optimal Pepsi Max. Dan, DSL's best trainer ever.
Yeah, he said that tonight, didn't he?
Yeah, enjoyed that. So well done with that. But
well, it's funny you mentioned that because me and Darren did that, and Darren froze and we had to end the live stream halfway through. So the other half, one half is on my Instagram for the next 24 hours, and the other half is on Darren's Instagram. And if you want to watch it, you won't be able to because the time this podcast goes up, it would have been more than 24 hours. So there you go.
Everything we talk about that live is entirely irrelevant. So no one will get to see when Darren did that completely ludicrous, inappropriate thing. You know that thing that he did?
It was horrendous.
No one will get to see it.
Involved a chicken and a sunflower plant, that's what I'm saying.
I mean, let your imaginations run wild. much like he allowed the chicken to.
So the reason why I bring that up is because this is our actual 9th attempt of recording Natty Muscle Radio today.
Yes.
Because Skype and because James Poigneur, because he's basically the only tech wizard I know. And I've not even asked him about this yet, but it kept freezing. I don't know why, so he hasn't answered me yet.
I guess I've not frozen in the 6 minutes that we're on.
Excellent news. It must just be Claire's laptop.
Jesus Christ, Claire.
Right, question. Have you got a Mac or a normal computer? IBM?
I've got a Dell powered inside or whatever, Intel inside, Microsoft Surface Pro. So could be laptop, can also be tablet.
I think it's Claire's Apple MacBook because we've had nothing but problems since she bought it. Right. She just wanted it to be part of the Apple crew, but really, she always has a go at my dinosaur laptop, which I use. But it's a Samsung laptop; they don't even make them anymore. So,
well, there you go.
There you go. Just because I've got too much stuff on there to want to bother upgrading it or changing it, but I probably should at some point, anyways. So,
well, fortunately, this is a works laptop, so cheers, work, for providing me with a very good laptop that I'm using to record a podcast on. So,
yes,
but maybe I am.
So, any news or bants to report on this week? Did you see my prone bench rowing this week?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any thoughts?
No. I have a lot of thoughts about a lot of the things you do in the garden, such as riding your bench, like a horse.
I thought it was pretty ingenious.
Yeah.
I mean, who doesn't want to pretend they're on a horse? Problem was, I've been playing Red Dead Redemption for like a week straight.
Oh yeah.
And Claire was like, I sat there and thought, oh, well, I might as well carry on the theme of Red Dead Redemption. And then Claire thought it would be a good idea to film it, and I was just making a lot of joke, and then it went too far, and we got the stag's head out, and then, one thing got into another, and yeah. But it's always good to lift the mood. Always good to lift the mood before training. So,
indeed, yeah. Training.
Need to ask, first of all, who's sponsored by this week?
Of course. So I thought I'd go for a different brand. Powerhouse Gym, of course.
Oh, World Champions Gym. World Champions.
So actually, I said last week that this segment has become what clothes that we've purchased each other are we wearing this week.
Yeah.
That's really unfair to Tom Poyner, because
Dr. Squat,
the Quad Doctor, for some fantastic reason over the past sort of 12 to 18 months, you just bought me a load of t-shirts, and I'm forever grateful. I was meant to buy him some and sort of reciprocate it when I went to Boston this year, but that never happened because COVID. Look at Tom. So I'll try.
I would say, never going to get it back. Never going to get one in return.
I'll endeavour to. I've just got to get to the States first, so I'll see about that. Looks like you're explosive fibres yourself.
I am tonight. This is a vintage, one of these heavy 3/4. No, it's not a 3/4. It is what's the word I'm looking for? Ragger top, I believe, is what they were known as.
Raglan.
It's got the best picture of a bodybuilder on the back ever.
Can we see?
Probably. I'm going to have to do some sort of acrobatics.
I've asked you now, so you can't just say no.
Can't see. Relax, bro. Can you see?
Wait.
So,
there you go.
Whoa, did that just block out the whole screen?
Nope.
Oh, I thought it would have.
No.
I thought it would have. What's it called? Shadowed the whole room would have gone black. Rob, where have you gone?
No.
I was just doing a lat spread, mate. Just doing
you're weak from the back. So
weak from the back. Oh, I've heard that. I actually have heard that, and I really appreciate Marcus's. I see his little stuff he put up this week on his. He gave me the finger first of all for saying he was Limmy.
Yeah, and me. Yeah.
Limmy bodybuilder, yeah, and you. But I thought that he did take it very, very well, because I now believe that the dagger is going to be the new Wooden Spoon Award. Yes.
So just because not 5 minutes ago in an alternate universe that that the dagger would be the new Wooden Spoon for. So if you and Marcus were to compete at the Grand Prix together, or any other show for that matter,
yep.
That the loser will be presented with the Swiss Army knife dagger, as seen on Natty Muscle Radio, which most people would say is actually more sought after than a first place trophy.
I've heard that.
Never.
Dagger award.
Never.
And by the way, if anyone does want to come across and do the Grand Prix, that's probably the one and only time they will ever beat me, because I'm always likely to beat 80% of the Grand Prix. But if we get to Worlds, then don't worry about it, because like man's going to up his game by like 20 to 30%.
Oh yeah.
You know, so yeah, if you do fancy it, Marcus, you know, you just want to be able to give me that, present me with the dagger as like a wooden spoon award, then yeah, cheers. Because I think I said in the alternate universe that if you place 5 out of 7 and I'm winning, riding that Dave K, Nathan, Satanya, Shane Raymond don't compete, then yeah, sure, I could definitely win a Grand Prix.
Yeah, I feel really bad being party to this actually, because I can't even hold a candle to any of these people that you've just spoken. But unlucky, Marcus, you're going to get a dagger. So,
but yeah, as I said, it's all in good taste, and I did especially appreciate that he did actually put the check-in pictures of where the little muff hair was on, only for like a very millisecond, but had me in stitches. Even if it was just a personal joke, just for me and him, I was happy about it. So
yeah, cheers, Marcus's chest vagina.
The only way to describe it, for sure.
Yeah.
So any other housekeeping this week? Have we got anything to talk about?
Well, thank you again to everyone that watched last episode. Thank you to everyone that's just watching and subscribing, and subscribers are going up. Views are going up. You know, we're on a couple of hundred nearly for each one now, which is nice. Just a little humble podcast that me and you are doing, and we enjoy doing it, and we'll keep doing it. You know, and if you like it, give us a like. If you don't like it, there's a little button you can press it. Just press dislike, and that's cool. Or just don't watch it. Whatever, it really doesn't matter.
Yeah. I always wondered how I would feel about our first dislike, but we've got one. So, so thanks whoever, you know, for expressing your opinion in a little downwards button like, because didn't give it a second thought. Thanks. So now I know I'm okay with it. So it's all right.
If you've got OCD, it's a problem, because everything on the analytics is 100%, and then it's like 95. But
you know, you're not going to be able to maintain. You're not going to be able to maintain 100%, especially in bodybuilding. You know, you can hit the mark a few times, but you're never going to be able to maintain 100% for sure. No,
most definitely not.
100% fullness. What we go for? 100% fullness.
100% fullness, but often 100% fullness can then normally mean a few percent of spillage, can't it?
Yeah, definitely. Hashtag 2017 Grand Prix.
You were a bit wet on stage.
Oh dear. What else? It's hard to remember what I've joked about on the previous intros and what I haven't joked about.
That because we've done so many episodes now that we've got so much bants. I've not give QE his weekly joke of how long it's took us to record the podcast.
Yeah, but it did take us 9 attempts. So next week, we can carry that joke on and say it's taken us 17 attempts to record the podcast this week or this day.
This day alone.
Yeah.
That's nice.
So shout out to QE for that. Something else as well. Can't remember what it was. Never mind, it'll come back to me.
It's just live Rob trying to remember something on prep now.
It was, yeah. Well, everything's an excuse for diet brain when you live with Claire. So the wind caught the old doll the other day. She's like, she's always on prep, just slamming the doors. I just made that one up. She'd be like, no, I didn't. I believe you did. But yeah, she does literally blame me for everything for that sort of stuff. You just blame it on prep because easy get out clause, isn't it?
Oh yeah, you can just say, but I'm dieting and but I'm really hungry, so I'm unlucky.
Do you know what? I'm not really being that hungry this week. It's been good.
Yeah. How is prep going generally? People would like to know, I think.
In general, sublime. Like, I guess it's the prep you'd always wish for, but then I said you're not really into the nitty gritty of it yet, because that can all change with a couple of weeks of dieting and then a couple of weeks of like let's be honest. So shout out to Chris for making my bench for me, right?
Oh, yeah.
I'm already giving him a shout out. But it seems to be lacking in the comfort zone. So what I mean by that is I'm having to now use a towel because my butt has definitely lost some body fat, and my scapula trying to retract on a bench when you've got 100 kilos on you is not comfortable at all. It's horrendous. So I
Bloody hell.
What's that?
Bloody hell, Chris. You make a more comfortable bench.
Just for not upholstering my bench.
Jesus.
So I know. So I kept thinking, now what can I do to put the rug on the other one? Doesn't look as cool, but it's definitely a lot more comfortable. So yeah, shout out to Chris for that, for making my scapula uncomfortable. I'll expect the upholstery and foam padded to be sent around in a separate order.
Yes, of course.
So they reckon that obviously the gyms aren't going to reopen, but they may be able to work out with a select few friends and family or do stuff like that. So there's more chance of PTs and stuff like that happening, I think. And people just, like if you fancy coming around for a garden workout to practice the pantomime horse, you're more than welcome.
Yeah, oh yeah. As soon as lockdown gets lifted in such a way that you can kind of socialise like that, I think we'll definitely we'll get a workout in the garden. I don't know if anyone preed Chris Edge's little garage gym set up. That looks sublime. So I'd like to maybe take part in that. But of course, we have to wait and see, don't we? And I feel like people are in a better groove now. I'm in a better groove with training at home. It's mad. I don't know if we spoke about it on the podcast or just in private, but the things I enjoy training have flipped completely. I would only. It was
on a voice note, I'm pretty sure.
Okay, yeah, I would. I would enjoy training legs and back because I could lift heavy and throw things around and stuff. Less, chest was always enjoyable, but then shoulders, arms, kind of was always just a bit fluffy. But now because the equipment I've got, legs is less enjoyable. I'm not throwing around a lot of weight. Back, same, because injury is getting a bit better, but nonetheless, I don't have tons of poundage. But I'm really enjoying training delts. I'm really enjoying throwing some supersets together because that's always felt nice for delts. I've got enough weight to get a lot out of overhead pressing behind the neck. I have found the hack that I think might make my triceps grow.
Go on, hit us with it. Hit the viewers with it.
All right. It's the most bro thing I've ever seen. So you've been trying to get me to do a lot more like overhead extension stuff to bring up this bit.
Yeah, the tricep sweep.
Yes, because
let me just give you an example on it for you. Yeah, the thing is this one here. Yeah, if you want.
Yeah. I can't. I'd show you mine, but I can't quite.
The shoulders are too big after training shoulders.
Yeah. Sorry.
Higher.
Sorry. Maybe after this hack though. I've always felt that I agree with regards to the needing to do the overhead extension stuff, or whether it be we've been trying to do skull crushers on an incline, barely getting that stretch, that real tricep stretch around there. Well, I think I've always felt like I've got quite long arms for a short person. So when I get to the top of that extension, it's all elbow, and I don't feel any tricep anymore. So I've often done like half reps because the top portion just feels like no tricep, and I think that's probably contributed a lot to not developing that muscle because it's not doing it. So what I'm doing is, so it's French press or lying dumbbell double extension, however you want to call it, but with a band.
Oh, yeah.
So there's a band underneath, whether it be underneath me bench or something behind me. What that allows is full stretch at the bottom with the dumbbells, as it would be because of gravity. And then at the top, where I would normally lose contraction because my arm is fully extended, the band kicks in.
Whoa.
And all my life, I have given people shit for using bands for a long time.
Yeah.
And I don't apologise because it is shit. But this was life-changing.
Game changer. As I said, me and Lewis joked about, we may have even said it on other podcasts that all rolled into one, but people are going to be going back to the gym being like, excuse me, mate, have you got any bands? Because this leg extension's not really cutting it. So,
Trust me,
genuinely, I think that could be a thing. There maybe be some things I implement with a band, and some things probably not. Because once I get back to doing hammer strength press for upper chest, I'll be like, don't need a band.
Don't need a band. So, no, we touched on it. We touched on it a few episodes back, didn't we? Were things that we'd like to. I might have been the last episode. Things we'd like to keep in our routines going forward. This is an absolute game changer for me. So yeah, banded, lying, tricep extension, French press, bro extension, however you want to call it.
Bro extension, I like that. French press is good because only old school people call it that. So because you're old school.
Yeah.
So there is a bit of housekeeping we need to bring up, and it's all to do with eating while you're on a bodybuilding podcast.
I can't. What absolute? What completely inconsiderate piece of shit.
So can you please inform everyone? Can you just come a little bit closer to the camera while you're eating? Yeah. Okay. So the point of this story. No, can't hear it.
No.
Okay. Right. If you sit next to Aaron while he's eating, or you're watching the Mr. Olympia with him on the couch, and you suddenly think, what on earth is that sound? Well, it's not. I don't even know a good analogy for this.
It's not a woodpecker in the garden.
No, it's not someone like clicking their knuckles.
No,
it's actually Aaron's jaw every time he crunches at all. Yeah. It's not even going to do it. I really wish people could hear it. Tell you what I'll do is I'll record it on a sound clip. I'll insert it here. How many of a second we are in? So yeah, funny, but it's the worst jaw noise I've ever heard in my life.
Sorry, I can only apologise for the way that the is wired.
Hopefully, someone will be able to do that thing where they go into the audio and then bring up the background noise, and they'll be able to hear your jaw clinking and clucking. When
we say somebody, whenever we want anything, even a little bit more technical than basic, we mean James, don't we?
We do mean James, yes. And obviously, I can sympathise in some way because Claire has told me off this week for eating your favourite things, your corn thins, too loudly. So,
really?
From upstairs. So she said, could you literally eat them any louder? But I'm hungry when I go to eat them, or genuinely, maybe it's just because they're loud. So
they're just crunchy pieces of corn. So by definition.
But way louder than popcorn, though. Way louder, 3 times louder.
Imagine me eating corn thins.
It would be pretty traumatic. I think.
It would sound like this, wouldn't it? It'd be like.
Definitely. So, on the popcorn subject, what's the best thing you've taken into the cinema to eat to watch whilst watching a movie?
Oh. I don't think I've ever taken anything unusual, but I do like a good. I like a good pick and mix from the cinema.
Yeah.
Even though I know the markup is incessant.
Yeah. Same.
But I will always go for the pre-defined cup that you can get, right? So not the bag that is per gram or per 100 grams. I will go for the predefined cup, and I will endeavour to pack as many snakes, strawberries.
Yeah, see, I'm a fizzy man.
Yeah. So and they never say that you have to keep the lid on it. There just has to be in or around.
They're talking about the ones that aren't determined by weight, only by the cup size, right?
Cup size, yeah.
Otherwise, say you've shafted yourself because it's just more.
Yeah, it's like the Morrison salad bar. You get the small, container, and you ram that You ram that back with as much salad as you possibly can. So,
well, here's a hack for you. But one thing that is particularly good about the vicinity where we live is that downstairs from the cinema is Five Guys. And the gas jacket that you may or may not be wearing or had on today at some point, because best gas jacket ever,
of course,
is optimal for fitting a cheeseburger in each pocket.
Oh, shit.
So the night before I started my diet last year in 2019, I was used to go into, I think I went to the cinema by myself because probably watching a film that Claire doesn't want to see and I didn't want to miss. Star Wars, probably.
Yeah, probably Christmas time.
And packed audience for the film, but I thought it was necessary to not only get popcorn, but because carbs, because I don't eat fries, but to get 2 cheeseburgers and put one in each pocket. So, and it was the best. I thought, why haven't I done this before?
It's my favourite jacket ever, and it's going to be even better now because I know
it's really good. It's a really good size for cheeseburgers.
Well, when I can buy a Five Guys again, and when cinemas are open again, then we'll give that a crack, 100%. So
we'll do smuggle them in there for sure. Right then, we must be already halfway through the podcast. Yes, we are. So this week, what are we going to be talking about this week?
Okay, so we keep an upbeat podcast, and we like to just have myself and you rambling, talking a bit of shit, trying not to be controversial, but you know, it just comes with kind of
the territory.
Comes with the territory. Thanks. Yeah, it comes with the territory of just, you know, speaking about bodybuilding. So we're going to put this out on. It'll be Monday. Monday night is when we put this out. We're recording it on the Friday, and a lot of people in bodybuilding by this point will have seen the very, very, very sad news of a very popular UK bodybuilder, Luke Sando, who sadly passed away sometime in the middle of this week, we believe. We are not here to talk about any situations or circumstances that may be surrounding such a tragic event. It's hit me and you in an unusual way. We've discussed, we've had a few conversations about it, and we said one of the things we spoke about, or one of the things I felt and you reciprocated, was when we had the tragic passing. When I say we, the royal we is bodybuilding, because whichever way you look at it, whether you're BNBF, whether you're PCA, whether you're UK DFAC, whether you're WNBF, whether you're anything, whether you just train, really.
Fitness related, yeah.
We talk bodybuilding and fitness, we say we don't, because everyone understands what people go through and stuff like that. But when bodybuilding and the world lost Dallas McCarver, to us it was tragic and it was sad. But we kind of felt a little bit disconnected from it in that it was a guy in the States who me and Cara had seen once in a seminar at Body Power, but never met the guy, seen videos and stuff like that. And it was more of a tragic circumstance. It was really a really sad thing to happen to his family and that kind of thing. But we spoke about how actually the what happened with Luke this week seemed to hit us in a way that I think we found Luke quite relatable. I think he had a similar banter to what we do, or rather we had a similar banter to him.
Probably call that like English humour, or British humour as the Americans would call it.
Yeah, and he would take a pop at the States quite a lot. You know, he'd make it, you know, he'd kind of joke on himself how, you know, how British he could be and how funny Americans were, some of the things he did, and a lot of his Redcon 1 stuff and all that kind of, you know, his humour really exuberated. I've met him twice. Both times he spoke to me and didn't shun me away, and we had a little conversation. He spoke to Cara, and he was very warming. And then we watch him in videos, and we've actually seen him compete at bodybuilding shows in person, and he seemed very relatable to us, and someone that we'd watch every day. And with social media and with YouTube and with these kind of things, now you do kind of you feel a little bit closer to these people. So
You feel like you know him, don't they?
Yeah, it hit us a little bit more that we felt like we know the guy. Further to add to that is that with him being from the UK and being in the UK bodybuilding scene, it actually isn't that widespread, really, when you think about it. Is we both know people that may even just know people that have been directly affected by this. Someone that Cara is very close to that was directly affected by this. You know, there's other bodybuilders that we know that are directly affected by this, and it just brought home a lot more, actually, that the circumstances that may or may not be surrounding the tragic passing of Luke are just really poignant at the moment, actually, and we just wanted to talk about it during this podcast.
I think that, like Claire made a very good point, is that, you never really know what goes on behind closed doors, and it's like, I am very, very fortunate, and by this, I don't mean to kind of come across like a dick for everyone else, but like, I've always been one of these people who are just like, without blowing my own trumpet or anything like that at all, like super positive. I'm happy to get out of bed every day. I have nothing to be kind of like, how should I say, worried about. I have nothing to be where I can kind of like I'm the least person to be like battling with demons and all this kind of stuff people talk about on a daily basis. Like I couldn't get any farther away from it. And that's very much like I realize that that's maybe 1% of the country people who feel like that. Maybe it's more, I don't know. But with people who are like get up and like happy to be just doing whatever every day. You know what I mean? Like I don't if I ever have a bad day, I can count them on one hand a year for sure. Like it doesn't happen very often. So I'm very, very fortunate with that. And as I said, I don't mean to come across like a dick, because that's just anyone who knows me will kind of know that's generally how I am. But for someone like that who maybe is doing very well in the bodybuilding community, like has probably got a lot of traction, it's really sad to see that maybe that people do have, as I said, like mental health issues, and it's a lot of the time people say it's the people you least expect. Yeah. So I thought a really good topic, as I said, because we don't really have any. We don't know, we didn't know Luke Sander. We just knew of him. We don't know really many people surrounded by him who, like, like we follow James Hollingshead and stuff like that. And I feel really sad for those kind of people who obviously are all going through it like firsthand. However, I thought it would be really good to kind of maybe put some things in a positive light and maybe talk about some of the mental health issues that everybody goes through, like related to bodybuilding. Because, although I don't have, my own experiences of, where I've maybe gone through, parts of depression, because I haven't. But there is times where maybe things have got particularly hard, whether it be prep, whether it be post, coming out of a show, whether it be that thing of like people who are maybe looking at competing, who don't feel they're good enough. It might be, people who just want to jack in their diet because they had, an extra rice cake and beat themselves up about it. Because although it sounds like really trivial things, these are kind of things that really do affect a lot of people with bodybuilding and fitness industry. And, I guess maybe people, whether they beat themselves up because they maybe have maybe underachieved and things like that. So I thought it'd be really good to maybe address a few things of how like maybe a positive mindset can help with those scenarios for sure. So I'm not sure if there's anything, I mean, I know we're already half an hour in and there's so much to cover. So I'm sure we discussed beforehand that we maybe do this as 2 parts. Yeah. Maybe do one side on our and the other side on maybe like, how maybe to combat stuff like, from a mental well-being standard, or standpoint, really. Yeah. So I don't know what you want to kind of maybe kick us off with. If there's anything in particular that you feel like, is it surrounding like, what would you say the biggest thing maybe people go through every day with regards to in the bodybuilding community? Do you think it's like because starting a contest prep? Do you think Like, because there's a lot of issues around that, isn't there?
You brought up something that I thought was a good kind of point, and it was the sense of underachieving in bodybuilding or in sport in general, maybe, or maybe not in sport, maybe in the wider world. But we'll talk about bodybuilding because that's kind of what we know. So that pressure that is on athletes and put on by other people and by themselves, and then the sense that you've underachieved after a show, I think, can very likely leave people feeling upset, sad, angry, and all these things. I can only speak from experience. Go back a few episodes, and my experience at the Central last year. We spoke about it, and you were a big part of that day. And you've seen what I was like at times on that day, and it was. I think we get on so well because we have them similar personalities. We do kind of see the bright side of life, and we don't really get down about anything really, but something like that held very dear at the time. It made me very upset, but that it didn't last very long, and I think the reason why it didn't last very long is because I felt like I'd underachieved. I felt like I had first let myself down, but then I started to feel like I'd let other people down. Yourself, Dan, Ash, they'd come all the way just to watch, just to get to the night show, just to see me there because they were both working that day. Darren, all the work he'd put in for me, and everybody else that was there. And actually, it took Cara, my brother as well. He came up. He stayed with us the night before, came to watch us at that show, and it actually took Cara to kind of tap me on the shoulder. And we're all sat there waiting for you, actually, your bloody judges table to be finished. Loud. And I wouldn't even say I had a face on. Like, I was really out of it. I was really downtrodden, upset, all the superlatives that you want to use. Kind of tapped me and just said, basically, you see all these people, like 10, 12 people that are just waiting round. They're all here for you. They all came to support you in what you're doing. And they don't care if you finish last. They don't care if you win. They just want you to go and be the best you can be and enjoy a burger with you afterwards. And it took that for me to kind of suck up the pride. I was still unhappy from a bodybuilding.
Big for yourself, Cara. I was expecting a fucking win. All right. So.
I know what that's kind of what I wanted to say. But
cheers, Cara. Cheers, Cara. I told you this is team winning, not team losers. So, so you've got more pressure on you the next time you compete.
Yeah.
Because it's basically part of the winning team now, mate.
Oh shit.
So cheers, Cara, for the added pressure.
Nice one, Cara, for the pressure. Yeah. But without rambling on, what it allowed me to do is go, actually, I want to win. I want to do all these things. But more important than that is having these people around me that I've met during bodybuilding. Yeah. That once we've finished the competitive season and once it's Christmas time and it's off season, that we can go and have Sunday leg sessions and we can go and eat burgers and we can go, halftime burgers at bodybuilding shows and these kind of things. And it's those things that even if you feel like you've underachieved on a stage, yeah, if you can keep that group of people around you,
yeah,
it'll all go away.
Do you know, I think, when we talk about, that's probably one of the biggest obstacles for people of why they don't compete. And for a job, we help sign people up for memberships and go through that process. We always say the biggest obstacle for people is the foot through the door, which is very true, because obviously joining a gym and obviously then actually stepping inside the door is a big thing for a lot of people. And for people to actually go, right, love bodybuilding, love fitness, love bikini, whatever, but actually then to go through with that and then, jump up on stage, in pretty much, nothing on, so to speak, apart from a small bit of cloth kind of thing. You're sat up there and it's that fear of what if I'm not good enough? And I think that any people who ever message me for like coaching inquiries, or maybe people who are just looking for advice, I'm kind of like to do my first show. A lot of the time, I would always encourage people. I know it's not always the right thing to do because people say, well, some people aren't ready for the show straight away. But I always think that, you know, it's surprising how good people can look and how much of the just like managing expectations as well. Like that does come down to it. You know, no one's going to, you know, send me a code like I've been training for a year. I'd like to do a show. Would you recommend it? Then yes, I absolutely would. But what I wouldn't recommend is don't expect to go there and win. But if it's something you want to do for your, you know, to give your training purpose, to see where you stand, to see how good you are, then I think that that's massively important. And I always will encourage people to do that because it kind of, we spoke about it on one of the lives the other day with Darren, and, you know, a friend of ours, Grant, who used to train at the gym, always toyed with the idea, but, you know, it maybe like suffers with, you know, a little bit of anxiety and suffers with a little bit of that. And as I said, it's like a really big obstacle for people, but the more that I guess people can kind of like encourage and like say, I would always want that response from someone. It's like, I'm thinking about doing this. Like if I wanted to set up a business and I said to my friends, like, I want to set up this and this, I want them to want to encourage me and give me input on it, not shoot down the ideas. So I think that kind of ties in. I said, like, you know, people are going to be very worried about, like, you know, taking that plunge. But, you know, so many people who do that, it's like it's one of the best experiences that they've ever done. Because it's that thing of like, you know, self-achievement and obviously being able to like it is with going to university, you know, it's that thing of being able to apply yourself to something and then come out with something at the end of it. Now, I said that might just be for a lot of people like just stepping on stage. I'm not talking about necessarily winning. So I think that, you know, that sort of comes round to all of that, I would say.
Yeah. No, I think you're dead right. And I think it's conceptualizing what underachieving means for you personally as a bodybuilder, then secondly as a person, but then more importantly, just in the scheme of things. So, okay, you might set yourself a lofty goal of winning this show, being this champion, or even just getting on stage. Maybe you don't make it on stage because you're too nervous or whatever. But those goals that you set yourself, you know, I believe in setting, you know, scary goals for yourself, you know, things that you want to really, really push towards. But they're just defined by what you've decided. So no one's holding you to those things. So if you ever feel that you've underachieved, you have the opportunity to rectify that, to settle with it yourself. And those people around you that you've gained as friends, loved ones, they don't see you any differently because of that. And that's hard to see at the time. You know, It's hard for me to see at the time at Central.
Yeah. Like, you know, I always say, like, you know, the biggest lessons we learn, like, you know, when like losing a show, it's far more character building than it is winning. I always have this joke with Dave K about, I'm like, basically, you hate losing more than you love winning, right? Because yes, we all like to enjoy, you know, we love winning, but actually, like, I far more on the other side hate losing, which obviously, whether it be it fires something up inside you, which, you know, say you want to do well, because say you feel like you've underachieved. So all them feelings that you've had, like coming off the back of that show and feeling like you're not good enough. And 2009, when I came 4th out of 4 in my show, and then went for a Chinese that night or the next day, and felt like I don't deserve to eat this.
Yeah.
And I had 2 mouthfuls of it and was like, I don't deserve it. Like, I've not fucking done anything. Like, I'm still not good enough for stage. I'm still fat. Still got lots of weight to do. Still thought I was better than I was. And I don't deserve it. And then obviously my mindset was then to like, I can do better. So I think that like coming off the back of that, there's 2 scenarios to this that I kind of wanted to talk about with like underachieving. So one is like, let's say you didn't quite hit your mark. Okay. So let's say, take you as an example at the Centrals as a good thing. the way that you, I guess, rebound from that is, you know, very, as I said, it defines your character, because the losses and being able to say like the mark of a true champion is how you come back after the losses. It's not so much how you do after the wins, you know, because, you know, as far as, you know, how you apply yourself. So there's two options of either throw your toys at the pram, give up and quit, or do you use that as sort of to motivate you to be better in the long run? And that's, you know, that's what you did, you know, because obviously it's like, we know we've talked about that and obviously doing that. And I think a lot of that comes around from one, in your sort of, you know, like being able to realize like, okay, these other people were right. It wasn't bad judging. It was the fact that I wasn't good enough yet. But also I think that a big part of that is who you surround yourself with, as you just mentioned, after that. Because I think that, like, for me, I know one big thing without having to sort of ramble on too much, like growing up, like my dad was always a massive influence for me for like positive mindset. Like he always remember his thing used to be like, you know, before a football game or before my driving test, it was like, you will make this happen. And that was something for me, like, you know, if I ever had any doubts, like he would have like squashed those straight away and was like, no, because, you know, I truly believe in you. You know, you can be one of the best guys ever. You know, and just, you know what I mean, just fill you with like praise and confidence. The fact that I thought, yeah, there's no way, like he's totally right. And I think that is a massive thing for maybe when you're on a diet and you're surrounded by people who maybe, you know, let's say you're tired and you're hungry, and then you're surrounded by other people who are like, oh, I fucking hate my diet, like I hate my job, hate my girlfriend. That thing that just weighs down on you, and you becoming this negative mindset of doing that. So I think that what's really important is that you have the friends and family who get it, for one. Like it's okay to lose, it's okay to, you know, not win and do that. But the most important thing is, if that was your absolute best, and it was the absolute best condition that you brought, let's say the finals, and you placed 5th, you know, which was a massive achievement for you. But if you'd come away from that feeling like, I'm still not good enough, it's about putting that into perspective and really understanding like, okay, if that was the best that you could do, then that's the best you can do for this time. That's not the end of it. You know, it's a very different story if you gave 100% and you looked amazing, but you wasn't good enough yet. It's a whole nother ball game again to like go back to the drawing board and do that. And I think that is something that has maybe hit home. Like the reason people I use an example of that, same again without waffling on, is like James Pointer. Like I helped him for his prep in 2018 or 17, sorry. 17, yeah.
18, sorry.
He won the qualifier at the Southern Championships and also won the overall. Yes. Now, consequently, looking even better for the finals, he then didn't place at that finals level because there was a lot of really, really fantastic guys there that year.
Yeah.
And maybe that loss, you know, hit him pretty hard. But, you know, he's gone back to training, like he's addressing those problems. And no doubt when he comes back, well, I think that he would have made some fantastic improvements to be a better bodybuilder. So, yeah, you know, and that's because same again, you're surrounded by people who get it. We understand.
I've no doubt that, you know, James, I know James well enough. I know you know him a lot better as a friend and as a client. He strikes me as a guy similar to the way we've just described. You know, he's a happy guy, you know, caring the world. Maybe that's not the case. The kind of underlying part of all this is that you never know what's going on. You know, so just speak to the people that are around you. You know, if you do come off stage and if you do think that you've underachieved, if you don't look the way you want to look after your summer diet or anything, it doesn't matter. Just speak to those people anyway. But I have no doubt that James will be so much better the next time we see him. You know, I was one of those people that was actually saying to James that he was my favourite for the pro card that year that he competed.
Yeah.
You know, like a lot of people were.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, because you know, from what I'd seen that year, I thought, well, you know, And I'm no doubt that he, struggled with it a little bit after coming off stage, because in the moment it's not a nice feeling,
Yeah.
But he does surround himself with the right people.
Yeah. And I think it's going off the back of that for sure. Like, you know how we talk about like shows where, like your initial knee-jerk reaction after a show, a lot can change in 24 hours. So you maybe do a show maybe where you've gone and you've not done how you wanted to do. It's a case of I said addressing that, but also not making decisions or making rash decisions straight away after a show. Like if you didn't hit your mark on that day of the show, don't go out and eat yourself into a carb coma.
Yeah.
And eat everything in the sun, because you may regret that the next day. So there's lots of times I know that people have gone out, maybe felt sorry for themselves or whatever, and then the next day gone I really want to do another show, but I've got 2 days or 3 days worth of eating damage on me and things like that. So I think that I said not to make rash decisions, and maybe to talk things through with people when you're feeling like that. Like I'm sure you did, as after your shows and stuff. I think that having that feedback from people that you respect would have changed your mindset. If I'd said you were great, but you're never going to be good enough, it's that's that would have been a whole different scenario to maybe think, well, Rob was a bit of a dick about that.
Yeah.
But, as I said, it's always a case of giving people not just what they want to hear, but as I said, there's a time to be like a way of being helping you through them situations, because we've always been there as well.
Yeah, like the people sat around when we were in Five Guys after that show, and the people, it just took me to look at everybody, and you said that thing to me that we're not going to be in this situation again. You don't want to have this conversation with me again, the needing to be better for finals sort of thing. But it just kind of opened my eyes to look at around the people that were around me, and I had my brother with me, I had my girlfriend with me, I had my best friends around me, and it was actually these people. They want me to do as well as I possibly can. They want me to be the best, but actually more than the best. They just wanted me to be my best. And what they wanted was for me to get to finals, bring what I possibly could. And if I didn't place, but I was the best I've ever been, I would get the same reaction when I come off stage. And we'd all, celebrate in that way, just exactly like we did. And it's being with those people that is the reason why I do it, really. That's ultimately the reason why. That's why you should be doing it, so you can celebrate the wins and the losses with the people that are most dear to you. So
yeah. So kind of a question then for yourself, sort of moving on slightly, really, but what do you think makes the biggest difference to maybe your mindset with bodybuilding, and what trying to phrase the question really, but I mean, what do you think maybe for other people listening then, what do you think the biggest things that you can do to create maybe maybe people maybe starting out, or maybe it be just in general a mindset that would be, how should we say, a good way to approach bodybuilding then?
It's a cliche, I think, but it has to be for yourself. And everyone says that. Everyone says, I'm doing this competition for myself. I'm doing this. And whether you are deep down, you might have the goal of winning or whatever, but it still has to be for you, and you have to not be trying to impress anybody when you're doing it. I think that would be the underlying thing.
Yeah. Because I said there's a big shift, isn't there? Because people have noticed it with the gyms and everything. People are going for, they almost go into the gyms for that bit of attention, yes, as opposed to actually wanting to better their physique, so to speak. Really. Yeah,
Fuad Abbey has a great saying, which is to train like nobody's watching.
Yeah. And I often think that I had this conversation with someone the other day. It was would you still be doing the workouts that you do if you wasn't uploading stuff online? Would you still be recording a set and everything, and you think maybe I've got 8, but you do 12 because you know that you want people to see you doing well. But it's kind of like, I said, like, would you still be doing that anyway? And I think that, like I said, there's definitely two sides of the there's two different people, if you like. You're either one or the other. So to a certain point, like, you're trying hard to maybe impress people. But as you said, it does have to be for yourself, for sure. And I think that, like the really hard days on prep, or the hard days are maybe where, you've not applied yourself to following your sort of, if you like, bodybuilding journey, comes back around. If your reason for doing it in the first place was because, for you, then you're more likely to adhere to the plan as opposed to doing it for somebody else.
That's a great point, I think, because, you can falsify that you're sticking to your diet. You can falsify that you're doing everything you can do and you're working harder than everybody and all those things, if it is just to kind of look a certain way to other people, because you can lie and you can say, this is what I'm doing, but only you know that at the end of the day. If you skipped that meal, if you didn't do that last 10 minutes of cardio, you could have done that extra rep. But then it's that that feeling of achieving something, like you said, for yourself, that actually at the end of the day you did all those things, and as hard as it was, you tried to better yourself by doing that. And if you are truly doing this for yourself, then when you do achieve that goal, it's just all the more rewarding.
Yeah. I mean, I was speaking to Claire earlier. We did a bit of cardio before we did the podcast, and she was saying, like, when you're doing the live videos and the podcast and things like that, like, when you're watching people, like, what do you like to hear about? And I just thought, like, I love nothing more than to go and listen to maybe some old school guys on a podcast, like even the Jay Cutlers and things like that, and people talking about, like, how, like, dedicated they were to their cause of bodybuilding, and like how, Ronnie Coleman never cheated on his diet, and how hardcore people could be, and that kind of thing. Like, it really gets me, like, pumped for wanting to be better and to be, like, I love hearing about that stuff. And I think that more people need to hear these kind of things now and again, because I think that, like, it to motivate each other. And when I hear maybe like you're doing something,
yeah,
or I've done something, it might be a gym lift, it might be like, like, even people, like, I've had some great, feedback on people, like, okay, dieting's not for everybody in this time period, but I really applaud you if you can do it. And I'm really, like, it's awesome to see that you're just, like, smashing it, because it's great for me, because obviously I get, I would be doing it anyway, as I said, but, I love to hear that stuff of other people doing it. And I think that people need to see more of that stuff, and maybe even watch more of that type of stuff on, YouTube, about people absolutely, like, everyone loves success stories. And I said, like, the whole, like the Michael Jordan stuff that's on the Last Dance on Netflix at the moment. Like I'm absolutely, like, mesmerized by it. Like, someone who could have, like, that much talent, but it was probably one of the hardest workers, like, ever, like, in sports. And it's like, that is, like, so motivating to see. And I just try and, like, if I just think, like, if I could just apply more of that stuff to my daily routines every day, be better, not, when I'm hungry, to have that discipline, not to want to go in the cupboards and things like that. It's like, the more I can do like that, the more that I guess it kind of motivates me to want to be better. And I guess, this all comes around into one big circle, really. But I guess just, like, looking at that was like, what do I want to see more of? And I think, like, putting yourself in, like, a positive mindset, and, as I said, surrounding yourself with people, and, not dwelling on the negatives, but looking at, like, how maybe good you could be at something. Like, there was someone who said the other day, I think it was a Goggins quote, but it was like being 100%, but, like, like, being is that, like, how good could you do something? I just think that that's such a, like, a cool thing to, like, really think about, like, really long and hard. How good could you do it if you gave it 100%? And is that your 100%? So always, like, looking for the next level, whether it be conditioning, whether it be your training, like when you're actually doing like your sets and your reps and things like that, thinking like, am I giving 100%? And like an honest reflection on that stuff. And I think that is a really good thing to do for your mindset, because all it will make you do is like have a good reflection on what you're doing, but also like to push you to levels you maybe never thought you'd get to before, because you are honestly looking at that. And I think it was really hit home with me this week for sure. So
I think we are going to two-part this, so we can probably wrap it up in just a moment and kind of come back to the kind of long laundry list we've got really of things surrounding this subject. But I think it'll kind of maybe end it with this little story of you mentioned in there about, you mentioned your Michael Jordans and people like that, and you mentioned how good could you do something if you do it 100%. Well, bringing it back round to bodybuilding again, there's kind of two sort of people, and I hope that the second person is going to be very happy that I'm kind of comparing this. But you have Jay Cutler, of course, who was second and second and second and just continually second.
Always the bridesmaid, never the bride is the word. Yep.
And he must have had that mindset of how good can I be if I just give 100%? Like, can I break that barrier and can I beat Ronnie Coleman? Another person who I believe has got that mindset is Opio, because I spoke to Opio a little bit last year, and I like to tell him every time that I see him that time he walked out in 2018 and at finals, and I just said, "What the fuck is that?" I couldn't believe it. I could not believe it, because he just come out of nowhere. He was beaten by James Christ at the Central, as we just discussed. He was beaten at that show by James. He changed so much from that show to the finals. And then when I spoke to him last year, actually, it was far deeper rooted than that. I didn't know who OPO was, and I didn't know the qualifiers he'd done for the years previous to that, and how he'd always been just trying to knock on the door, banging on the door to try and be that 100%, be that best, and was just always a little bit off the mark and looking for that thing. But it was when he did exactly what you just said, it was how good can he had to ask himself. He said this to me. He sat himself down and said, "Can I be British champion and a DFAC pro?" He asked himself that question, and he answered himself back, "Yes, I can. Now I'm going to do the things to do it," and he did. And just that story gives me chills now, because I see it.
I love that stuff, because it's just like, it's the little, as you said, we talk about like the battles that we go through maybe in your head. I've said like the whole thing come back around to like, am I good enough? Your mindset off the back of that question is going to completely dictate how you feel about it. And I always use, without harping on about myself again, but the reason why I placed last in the Grand Prix in 2014 is because I'd already beaten myself before I got to that show. I just believed that everyone else was better than I was on paper, so therefore I had no right being there. Well, actually, that was the worst thing I could have done for, like, my mental game going into a show, because then I maybe skipped cardio, maybe like I was eating more than I knew that I should have been and not doing everything 100%. And whether it be because I was burnt out, I said I just didn't believe in myself enough at that point. But there's a big flip side, to then going away, and then obviously like the mental aspect, as you said, am I doing things 100%, or am I trying to cut corners and then hoping for a good result? And that was really what it was. It was a case of like, right, well, come on. Because you can always up your game. And I said there's always another level, on whether people kind of go, "Oh, I'm giving 100% now." But trust me, then when you go and maybe stay with other people and learn from them and realize, that's the missing ingredient. That's what they're doing, but I'm not doing. And it isn't like drugs, it literally could be, as I said, like, the meals that you may have missed out on because you were busy at work or whatever. And these other people are like, more dedicated or what it might be. So I said that's awesome story. So shout out to OPO for one, still not having any calves because we can't give you loads of advice and not put you down because that wouldn't be right on this podcast.
Not we're going to get a podcast without calling somebody out for calves. It wasn't Cara this week, guys. You didn't say it.
Yeah. But as I said, I think sort of, final thoughts that we will be covering in part 2 then more about like maybe things you can do for your own well-being. So by actually ways to create a positive mindset. One thing I really would like to talk about is post-competition blues, because we always say the bigger the high, the bigger the low. Yeah. So I'd like to get into that next week. But I also would just like to say as well that if people do have any maybe scenarios or stories that they'd like to share with us, then please do so, either it be from a mental well-being, maybe from mental health issues. It might even be from like, a story of someone who maybe did crap in a show and what they did afterwards, or maybe steps people took, whether it's getting back from an injury, whatever. Then you can either write it in the YouTube comments below, or you can send us anything on Instagram or Facebook, because we'd love to hear them. We'd love to talk about that on here as well, because it's always good for us to hear and to share other people's stuff as well. And then maybe that may even bring up some talking points on that things that arise that just off the back of these conversations. And we need to do more of that for sure, because if we help one person out of our 243 people watching this, then we've done our job for sure. So that's awesome.
Awesome.
So yeah, cool.
So we'll sign out. How about Natty Muscle Radio? There's always another level.
That sounds good. I love it. Brilliant. Can you put it on a t-shirt first of all?
I'm sure I can.
Yeah, I'm sure you can. Yeah, there's always another level. So cheers, Daz Cooper, for that quote, because credit to him for that one. Shout out to our sponsors, Ginger Pepsi Max this week, Explosive Fibers and Powerhouse Gym.
Like, subscribe. Get ready for part 2.
Please like and subscribe. And as I said, we will do part 2 next week. But thank you for watching. Speak to you all soon.